Take number two. This is the Roland TR-808. It was just a preset from the Logic library, which I have no issue with using because, I mean, if it works, it works. You had the enveloper and the channel EQ on. The enveloper didn't do too much. It was very much just giving it a bit more of an attack, I think. From what I can tell, yeah, it hasn't really done much, so that's fine. And then the EQ just gave it a little bit of like a high end, not quite high end, but like a mid-high boost, and then kind of cut everything else just so it kind of pierced through a bit more. It kind of took that frequency because, you know, cowbell will cut through the mix at a very high end compared to many other instruments, and you kind of always cut through, which is what I wanted. And yeah, that's the 808 cowbell, which we used and is heard throughout, and it's pitched and everything. I liked it. It was kind of, it was a bit like a funky sound, which we thought was going to be a good sound for it, and it kind of is, kind of big 808s and cowbells, but it seems a bit like a contradiction slash oxymoron of, you know, you've got all this new age tech sounds, and then you're in a literal like primal scene, which I thought was kind of funny, you know. Then we've got the monkey sounds. So the monkey sounds were all recorded in the house. I already talked about these. But yes, this was a very interesting task. It involved about 3 or 4 people coming in and basically just screaming and making monkey noises. I put a little bit of a low cut on it and then just a compressor just to make it a bit more level and kind of reduce the effects of the clipping that was happening because of how loud it was in that room. It was just killing the mic, which is a bit unfortunate, but honestly I think it's a good effect because it just kind of emphasizes the like intensity of it. I then also sent it through on a send, on the same send for the impact creation sounds, just that little bit of air moving, not too much, nothing too crazy, just to have that kind of softness and kind of sense of space that they are in. And then we get to the climbers. This is my favourite instrument to make. It sounds ridiculous. It's that kind of grating metal sound that you hear. I ran it through an amp. That was my kind of go-to. So in the photo here with the amp VST and then all of that, that's the main channel. It's quite a fun setting. So I ran it through the metal amp to try and get it as much of a high gain sound. I basically didn't want it to sound like a kalimba at all. I just liked the basis of it, and then I felt like putting it through an amp really made it like pickaxey, made it sound like it was something you'd hear in a quarry or something, which is what it kind of seemed like they were in. Then cut a lot of the high end out of it because it was really, really piercing. It was like painful, and even what I've cut now, it seems quite a lot of cutting. There's still quite a lot of high end left, which shows clearly there's just a lot of high end in this bit. And then I put a saturating distortion plugin. I put the Chroma Glow, which is by far my favorite thing to have come across with the new Macs. It was just, yeah, use a default analog preamp just to create more of a natural full sound without making it too big. Basically, I just wanted to warm it up, but keep that kind of that high end out of it. I wanted to just have it a bit more thick and a bit more present in the mix. Yeah. Which is why I then put it into the channel EQ, that high cut EQ. No, sorry, there was a second EQ. Second EQ was not used. It was just like a nice little, just a bit of a softener. But yeah, I also added a chorus. I forgot to mention that. I added the chorus in, moving incredibly slow, and not even mixed in at all in the end. I think it was a 0%, but in reality it was more like a 1 or 2%. It was just that tiny little bit of movement that I wanted. Just, you know, make it a bit of ear candy. And then I ran it all through a compressor, basic digi compressor, just so, you know, tame the peaks, tame the troughs, all of that, just have it nice and smooth. And yeah.